Hello, this is Tristan from heartratemonitor.co.uk, and this is our second video review of the Garmin Forerunner 235. In the first one we looked at features from the home screen, things like activity tracker, weather forecast, smart notifications. In this one we're focusing on the use of the 235 as a GPS sports watch for runners and also for cyclists. Okay, so this is a 235 model which has got the Garmin Elevate off the wrist LED sensor, so this gets your heart rate off the wrist. The 230 is exactly the same functionally, so you can watch this video when we're talking about the 230 as well, because they both work identically, except the 230 gets its heart rate only from the belt. The 235 will work with ANT Plus sensors, so it will take heart rate off the belt, and also it will get speed and cadence from other ANT Plus sensors. I use this on my bike strapped to the handlebars, so in those occasions I wear a ANT Plus heart rate belt so I can still see my heart rate. Obviously you can wear it on your wrist, but you can't mount it on the handlebars. Okay, so the 235 and the 230 have got 4 sports profiles. They have running, other, bike, and indoor running. Indoor running uses the accelerometer to estimate your speed, distance and pace. Obviously bike and run use, and other I believe, use GPS to give you your accurate speed and distance information. You'll notice there's a little colour next to each icon. That colour, when you go into one of those modes, so bike for example is a profile colour, so now everything in this watch is set green. That's there just to sort of show you from the home page which mode you're in. So if you want to quickly start a run, you only have to press this button a couple of times and you are already in orange, which for me is running. You can set those yourself. Okay, so let's go into run and let's just see what we can see here. There are 5 screens. This is data screen 1, data screen 2, heart rate zone, and heart rate gauge. So that shows you with coloured icons up the side telling you which one of your 5 training zones you're in. And then very conveniently you've got time of day. You can turn off data screen 2, you can turn that one off, you can turn that one off, and you can even turn that one off and just have that one on. You also have the option of making these are currently 2 segment, so these can be 2 segment, 1 segment, 3 segments or 4 segments. I like 4 because I wear glasses and it helps me to see. When I run I don't wear glasses. I'll show you those in a second. So I can go into the activity settings. So I'm in the activity settings for running here. So if we wanted to change settings, you have different sets of settings for biking, indoor running and other, which is useful. You have the option of changing your data screen. So I say we've got 2 customizable data screens and you can decide if they're 1, 2, 3 or 4 fields, and then you can set the parameters of each field. So if we go into this, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and that's just 1. So I say I have mine set onto 2. So you set the fields here. These are the headline categories for the fields. So for example, pace, we have current pace, average pace, lap pace, and then last lap pace. Let's go into a different one. Heart rate, current heart rate, average heart rate zone, training effect, which uses First Beat's training effect algorithm, which is very useful. Makes it a serious training tool. Heart rate percentage of max, so that's your percentage of your max heart rate, and that's your percentage of your heart rate range. Not one I normally use. I normally use that one, and average heart rate. But as you can see, highly customizable. Cadence is there because the 235 also does running cadence, so your leg cadence. I'm not going to go through them all, pretty well everything you need to see you can customize and give yourself a view of those parameters. Okay, so I'm going to go step back a couple. That was the data screens. Screen 1, screen 2. As you can see, you can turn it off. So that's your heart rate screen enabled, that's your heart rate zone gauge enabled, and that's a clock enabled. So you do that in each one of your 4 activity settings to customize them for your own preferences. Then we have alerts. Alerts again is a exceptionally useful feature, very easy to set up. I've set these up with a pace alert telling me just to keep me above 720 and below 810. That's for my sort of steady runs, and also I can set it for a heart rate alert, so again keeping me above 113 or below 152. You can set alerts yourself. They can be either time based or they can be distance based, so you can get it to alert when you've achieved a certain distance or burnt a certain number of calories. So I just use the pace based alerts and heart rate zone based alerts. Let me just make sure what else we've got. Okay, laps. This 235 I've set it up so it auto laps when I'm running for every mile. On my bike I have it auto lap every 5 miles. Auto pause, I like it to stop when I come to traffic lights or stop to tie my shoelaces. So my average pace and total distance are, training time are my moving time. You can turn it off if you want. Auto scroll, I turn that off, that scrolls through the screens. Quite a few of the newer GPS watches work with either normal GPS or GPS and GLONASS, which is the Russian's GPS. If you have it using both, it will use a little bit more battery. You only really need to do that in areas where there's a lot of trees or you're suffering from GPS, but normally I'd have it so it's on normal, which is GPS only. Okay, and then each sports profile has its own customizable color. So that's the profile setting for each sport type. Now we can do training. On the Garmin Connect website you can set up your workouts. So I've set one up here for running. It's called 5 times 1 miles with 120B. What that means is we can view it here. The warm up of 8 minutes, run a mile, recover until heart rate down to 120, cool down 8 minutes. Now that the cool down's at the end, by the way. The middle section repeats 5 times. I think I've actually set that wrong actually. It should be repeat 2 and 3 5 times. I'll have to check that. That's my second play at doing that. That one's obviously not set up correctly, but it is easy to do. I've obviously just made a mistake setting that up. And if you want to do the workout, just press do the workout. If you want to do something a little bit more ad hoc, then you can go into intervals, which you can set up in the watch, and you can just make a new one or edit the one you've already got. So you can set the interval, set the rest, and then you repeat it. So this is let's go down. Interval 1 mile. Rest is just a time-based rest of 1 minute. As you can see, you can make that time or distance. So that's if you don't want to have to set up a structured session on the computer. You can just do it in the watch. Let's see. Here's another one. This is set up for me on my bike. So again, warm up until I press the lap button. Bike 2 miles at a higher speed for me, and then recover until I press the lap button, and then repeat that. Repeat step 2, which is that one. So repeat steps 2 to 3 5 times. So I'm probably making it look a little bit complicated, but it's not, and in practice it works very well. But to set those up, you do need the Garmin Connect on your PC or Mac connected to the watch via the USB cable. Okay, go back a couple. So I'm just going to go back. So in training, we've looked at my workouts, training calendar. I haven't downloaded a training calendar. I don't have a training calendar. That would be telling me, there we go. That's showing us that the smart notifications work, as we know they would. So training calendar is where you have your training plan on the Garmin Connect and you download it to watch to remind you what you're doing and when you're doing. Intervals, create an automatic interval. Finish time is great. I can set it up that I want to go and do a 5k run, and while I'm running I just press start now and it will tell me while I'm running what my estimated finishing time is. So you can see there in let's cancel that. Go back to finish time. We can do that for 1 mile, 5k, 10k, half marathon, or even custom. So if you want to set a 10 mile or 20 mile, whatever, you can do that in there. So all of these things show you that this watch really is aimed at the runner. It's great. It really is a good bit of kit. Let's have a quick look at history. There's a bike ride there. Obviously you get a lot more information on the app. You get lap breakdown. Yesterday's steps. Monday's steps. So that told me on Monday I did 6,500 steps, 96% of my target. I walked 3.2 miles and I burnt 2,084 calories. Okay. So that's the history. And my stats, again, this shows how this watch really is, if you want it to be an advanced training tool. Recovery advisor. I didn't wear this yesterday, but normally this will tell me I've got, say, 12 or 20 hours left to recover. So it tells you how long left until you're fully recovered. It tells you here, so I've turned it on. You also get your VO2 max. You have to do I think you have to run for 12 minutes and then it will give you a VO2 max score, and that will update every time you go for a run. And also a race predictor based on your running performance. So this is predicting a 10k of 40 minutes for me, which I would say is currently pretty accurate. And then you also get a list of your records. So there's some of my latest achievements since I've been testing this watch. Okay, back a couple. Settings. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of these because I'm running out of time, but everything there, probably covered in the first video actually, as well as smart notifications. So this is the Garmin Forerunner 235. It's exactly the same as a 230, except this takes heart rate off the back of the watch. It will work with a chest up if you want it to. It's a great piece of kit. Once it's paired up with the I'll try and get this app in, the Garmin Connect app, you obviously get a summary of everything in more detail. We can just see things like graphs here of heart rate, speed and altitude. It also gives us a when you wear the watch throughout the day, it will give you sleep patterns, so you can go on a daily basis. So it shows a day then that didn't have any. There we go. So there's my movement while I was sleeping. I had 5 hours of light sleep. I'm not a great sleeper. 3 hours 44 of deep sleep. So yeah, it's a really competent piece of kit. I have really enjoyed testing it, and I don't really want to give it back, and it's highly recommended. So please visit heartratemonitor.co.uk. If you're thinking of buying one, please click the link on the bottom, which will take you to our preferred supplier. And thank you very much for listening. Cheers.